And it's like when people would ask you questions about racism, I said, let me be clear about something. The color Hollywood cares about most is green, period. Look to where the money is, and that's going to be your answer most of the time.
Good points there, Wilmore.
Any
Thanks.
advice for your friend? I mean, you've had a show canceled, he's had a show.
You know, as a fan and a friend, I'm looking forward to it.
Gentlemen, once again, Sean Robinson is your host. I will introduce Jackie Fox, Tad Shore, Richard Dunnigan, Mix, and keeping
Wilmore was good.
thanks to Gabriel.
Used to enjoy his show.
This is today's play.
They changed the name.
Colorado
I think they're weird when they say that.
Xeriscape, a word that was coined here with roots back to ancient Greece. After a brutal dry spell in the late 70s, Denver lawns were crispy, reservoirs were low, and water restrictions were in place. A task force assembled to shift trends away from thirsty yards to more drought-tolerant plantings, efficient irrigation, and landscapes that sip, not guzzle. To best spread the word of this water-conscious approach, they needed a good name. Task Force member Nancy Levitt came up with it. Take the Greek word xeros, meaning dry, join it to landscape, and that started the xeriscape movement. Xeriscaping, which starts with an X, is now practiced in parched climate worldwide. A water-wise way to beautify arid spaces and conserve water. A drought-era idea from Colorado, proving sometimes the right word can help change the landscape. Colorado postcard from Colorado Public Radio.
It's pretty cool.
Iran looks like a really difficult problem. And
I always heard people say xeriscaping, but
Trump's
they
got
meant zero.
And his pressure campaign is working better than they thought. So there's a
What?
sense here.
Are you trying to
among
act
some
like
in the administration
Trump's winning?
that Cuba could be the success that helps them move past the morass.
The failure of Iran. Oh my gosh, one war to get out of another war.
From the New York Times.
Kidnapping leaders wasn't enough. We had to go to war.
The Daily
And the war didn't work out. We gotta go to another war. Maybe somebody should stop this tyrannical regime. Stop the tyrannical regime. Everybody's done with this damn tyrannical regime. It's a piece of crap.
You're listening to The Daily from the New York Times, distributed by American Public Media. APM produces and distributes programs that entertain and engage audiences everywhere. AI is getting good at spotting tech sweet spots. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech with Stephanie Hughes. Marketplace Tech is supported by Progressive Insurance with Snapshot. Learn more about Snapshot at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Anthropic's recent AI model Mythos preview is so good, the company says, at uncovering security vulnerabilities, it's too dangerous to release to the public. Anthropic shared a preview version with a select group to help patch the holes that Mythos finds. But the prospect of a super hacker AI system is still sending some business leaders into a panic. Marketplace's Megan McCarty-Carino has that. If there's one thing we know, today's large language models are really good at, it's coding. So the idea that the models are going to discover bugs in code, it doesn't feel surprising. Stephen Rebel is a retired professional at UC Berkeley who led the Center for Long-Term Cybersecurity. He says the big concern is these models' ability to find so-called zero-day exploits. These bugs in code allow bad actors to access systems through backdoors nobody knew were there. No patch exists to lock them.
Zero-day exploits are the nuclear weapons of the cybersecurity world.
And like nuclear weapons, they had been the domain of sophisticated state-level actors. But AI is changing that.
Attacks that once took a team of specialized hackers months to research and days to execute was done by one person in an afternoon, says John Henry, who leads offensive testing at the cybersecurity firm Profile, using internal AI tools less capable than the top frontier models because they breach systems in less than 10 minutes.
What we can do in a lab environment today, a professional cybercrime group will be able to do it to a real bank or other piece of critical infrastructure within 18 months.
Already, Anthropic says it's investigating unauthorized users who gained access at Mythos Preview. And Henley expects open source models, many built in China, will catch up in the near future.
If you're like a board member at a bank or a hospital system, you should be asking one question this quarter. And it's, what do we need to do to detect and contain an attack that unfolds in an hour?
They'll be expecting an answer from folks like Joshua Brown. He's been the Chief Information Security Officer at H&R Block, Omnicom, now Spectrum Labs. Never an easy job.
The old joke is that they sleep like babies. They wake up every 2 hours crying.
And now, every 2 hours is not going to cut it. Brown says the same AI tools the bad guys use will help organizations detect and patch vulnerabilities.
So you can find stuff faster. Now the pressure shifts to the other side of the equation, which is, are businesses equipped to handle that remediation and containment activity faster? I think the obvious answer immediately is no.
Most companies have chronically under cybersecurity, according
Something bad happening, which seems quite remote.
He says companies spend on average less than 1% of revenues on cybersecurity, and many will need to double those resources.
It's not a simple risk like a fire. You put a fire alarm in place. You can be comfortable you've done the right things. Cyber's not like that. It needs constant change and focus.
In the cat and mouse game of cybersecurity, AI is helping both sides do more. But the mouse only has to get lucky once.
That's Marketplace's Megan McCarney-Carino. I'm Stephanie Hughes, and that's Marketplace Tech. This is APM.
Support comes from Europtics, Colorado eyewear galleries for over 40 years in Cherry Creek North, Greenwood Village, Aspen Grove, and 136th and Huron in Westminster. Online at Europtics.net. Europtics, the art of optics. Colorado Public Radio exists because you make it possible. Thank you, Sarah Ann Maxwell, Mage Bozarth, Deanna Hanna, and Ann and Jack Connolly for your Summit Club donation.
On the next Fresh Air, actor Rose Byrne. She's nominated for a Tony for her leading role in the revival of Noel Coward's Fallen Angels. She was nominated for an Oscar for her role in the film If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. She co-starred in the films Bridesmaids, Spy, and Neighbors, and in the TV shows Platonic and Damages. Join us. Coming your way next hour on CPR News and KRCC.
From the New York Times, I'm Natalie Kittrowet. This is The Daily.
Oh no, it's The Daily.
On Wednesday,
Daily
the
sucks.
U.S. charged Cuba's former leader and communist general Raul Castro with murder. The charges stem from Castro's role in a decades-old incident when 3 Americans were killed by the Cuban government. And they were the latest escalation.
I mean, boo-hoo. Hasn't Trump been killing people in boats and hundreds of thousands of people in Iran?
Today,
And
my colleagues Francis Robles on the story
what the hell are they talking about?
against Castro and Julian Barnes on what the American
That's the best they could
really
do?
wants from Cuba.
They really want to overthrow the regime. They're all about overthrowing regimes and wars and shit because they're
Frenchie,
terrible,
welcome back to the
lying tyrants.
Thanks for having me, Natalie. You just got out of this Department of Justice press conference in Miami. You are, in fact, still in your car, and we appreciate you making the time. So tell us what it was like.
It was so interesting. I've been covering judicial events and press conferences and court cases and announcements for many, many years, and I can't say I've ever seen one quite like this. Good afternoon.
Seems crazy.
Mariega, president of Miami-Dade College. Welcome to the Freedom Tower. I was kind of struck, to be honest, that the first speaker was Natalie Mariega, who's Cuban-American and the president of Miami-Dade College. The building that we were in is part of Miami-Dade College. And so it was interesting to me because she's a very prominent member of the community, but she's not a prosecutor. So it told you a lot. It says that this isn't just a quote-unquote judicial or law enforcement event. This is a community event.
Community event?
It is now my distinct honor, representing all of you, to introduce the United States Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Fuck that piece of shit.
The Attorney General, the Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Real Americans hate him. I don't know who all you traitors are clapping.
Got up and gave him a standing ovation before the man even opened his mouth. Everybody was cheering him on because they knew what he was about to say.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Because they were a bunch of traitors and terrorists.
What did he say? Yeah, he got right into it.
Today, we are announcing an indictment charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals.
One of his first words was
losers.
conspiracy to kill
fucking
U.S. nationals.
loser,
And
traitor,
they had to
terrorists.
break after that because everyone got up onto their feet and started applauding him again.
Oh, wow. Bunch of Cuban terrorist traitors to America.
Mr. Castro and the others are charged with additional crimes as well, including destruction of aircraft and 4 individual counts of murder.
He was being charged with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, 2 counts of destruction.
How did they find Cuban Americans who were still cheering for this shit after ICE went to their kidnap their people?
And just explain
terrible, terrible
what
traitors.
these charges are really
traitors
about.
to America, traitors to Cuba,
they're referring to.
Traitors to humanity, traitors to Jesus.
That this case
traitors.
Occurred in 1996.
I would say triple traitors, but they're like quadruple traitors.
A little earlier than that. There was a point in the 90s
Such
where
traitors.
Cubans were literally throwing themselves to the sea to make it to the United States. They were doing that on inner tubes. They were doing that on old cars.
So you're celebrating that now?
A boat, on rafts. And so it becomes what's known as the Cuban rafter crisis. Because there's so many people, literally thousands and thousands of people that were in the sea trying to make it to the United States.
Which Trump would have bombed those rafts. Trump would have shot them out of the water.
Called Brothers to the Rescue. And what they were doing, they were Cuban American pilots who raised money to buy small planes, and they would fly.
Stop acting like you can celebrate this in the same breath.
Florida Keys and Cuba. And they would spot somebody, on a raft, in a tube, what have you, and
now,
they would call the Coast Guard for help.
If it had been Texas military, he would have
It was a big deal. The Coast Guard was overwhelmed. The Coast Guard couldn't handle the volume. There was a point in the summer of 1994, this is a true story. They were showing up in Key West.
Crazy.
So
showing up there out of desperation, but about it.
At some point, the situation gets so dire that the Clinton administration and the Cuban government reach an accord. People will try to prevent people from leaving the island, and the United States agrees that when people are caught, they're going to be turned back. And so what does that mean? It means that the Brothers to the Rescue kind of no longer has a mission. So they change their mission, and they start getting a little bit more provocative and poking a stick in the eye of Fidel Castro.
How so?
They started dropping leaflets over Cuba. They dropped religious medallions, doing things like that were a little bit more protest actions as opposed to rescue missions. The Cuban government was furious. They felt like this was an illegal incursion into their airspace. They kept on turning to the Clinton administration, saying, "You're these 6." He left an air. 2 other
the
planes
music to
left,
make it sound like he's a martyr.
and they fly down to Cuba. That day, they did cross what's known as the 24th parallel. It's international airspace. But to the Cubans, they shouldn't have been there. And so the Cubans, from Brothers to the Rescue, beautiful day of skies above Havana. And the Cuban air traffic control responds to him saying, if you're below the 24th parallel, that's an activated zone. That was the word that they used. And he says, "This is my right, as a free Cuban, and they continue their journey. And so the Cuban government, the Cuban military, shot 2 of the planes out of the sky, killing 4 people, including 3 U.S. citizens.
And this ties to Raul Castro because I assume this is when he's Secretary of Defense. Is that right?
He was the defense minister.
He just came up with
and
some
he
stuff.
gave the order. I mean, I don't think that there's too much doubt about that, because big pilots in Cuba are not going to be shooting planes out of the sky without very clear chain of command orders.
Like the planes that we used to shoot, or the missiles we used to shoot
if it was so clear,
schoolgirls in
didn't the
Iran.
U.S. bring charges against him then?
They came down under the orders
I've
of
asked that
Hegseth and
same
Trump and
question
Putin.
to a number of former federal prosecutors, and the sense that I got was it would just be really destabilizing to diplomatic relations, even though we didn't really have any, and destabilizing in the region.
Okay, so there has been this escalating pressure campaign by the Trump administration on the Cuban regime. You see this as another step in that?
Absolutely, Natalie. I do see this as the latest step in that escalating campaign. The Trump administration cut off oil to Cuba. Last week, they announced they don't have any reserves left. That means places like Havana.
She's doing that Michael Barbaro.
22 hours a day without
Acting like I
electricity.
care.
We keep asking people, what's it like when the power goes out that long? And I've gotten a very similar answer several times. That no, it's not when the power goes out that's the problem. It's when the power comes on. Because the power comes on at maybe 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock, and you got to jump out of bed, and you have to charge your phone, you have to charge your laptop. And if you're, a family, head of a household, you're getting a pot of rice and beans on the stove to cook the next day's meals. You're hearing really, really dramatic stories like that. People
The most patronizing whimper to sound like you care.
Jobs. People are not able to work because their work depends on having electricity and having internet. It's a really terrible situation.
Okay.
In order to facilitate people not caring.
Inside
a fake
of the Cuban
caring
government.
in order to facilitate not
What are they saying
caring.
about this vice grip that the Trump administration has on them?
They say it's an illegal, I think they've used the word genocide,
Well,
that it's going to lead to a bloodbath and that it will be the United States' fault. They don't recognize any errors that they've ever made, and they 100%
What the hell does that have to
see
do with
this as
the embargo?
fault of the Trump administration.
Because it
And
is.
this is
It's 100%
group
what
of
the
people
Trump
who are
administration
used
is
to
doing.
weathering hard times and still
Oh,
holding
they're
on
used to it.
power.
Oh, they can
kind
handle
of
it.
fighting through. And it sounds like they're still doing that.
It's been 67 years, and they have had really severe hardship in the past.
These are people. She
and
means
they've
Cubans.
always weathered. And I
Oh,
think
they've
a lot
weathered.
of people
Cubans have
feel
weathered.
that maybe
We
the
put
Trump
them through a bunch of
administration is
bullshit.
underestimating the degree
America's
to
put them
which
through a bunch of
these
bullshit.
people will want to hang on to power at any cost.
I'm sorry,
After
I can't
the break,
listen to
my
them.
colleague
I can't
Julian
listen to
Barnes
them
takes
anymore.
us
They're so
inside
terrible.
the U.S. government's broader strategy in Cuba.
Trying to cover for Trump, Putin, and all their evil. Always trying to cover for Trump and Putin and Netanyahu and all their evil.
We'll be right back.
I won't be. Bye.
The Daily is supported by Amazon Business.
Of course
Amazon
it's supported by
offers
Amazon
smart
Business.
buying,
Because
which
Jeff
uses
Bezos is an evil
AI-driven
Nazi.
tools to perform
We do need to seize Amazon, seize all companies that funded Trump's ballroom. Trump's ballroom is evil, it's traitorous, and we need to seize all the companies that help participate in it.